I've never really done a video like this before, so I just want to clarify before I get into the main portion of the video. I do love this game, and I want the best for this game. That being said, I feel like the current situation with the megas isn't really being handled as well as I think it could be. And so today is kind of like a unscripted rant video of just me talking at the screen and just trying to get my ideas across as to what I think is going wrong with the megas at the minute and how I think it could be improved. I've written off like a couple of talking points that I want to get through in this video. One of them being less important, but still I feel quite important and that I do need to mention it, is that of course these megas aren't really different from their original Pokemon at all. Mega Lucario and Mega Charizard X, along with the two other Mega Pokemon that were hinted at that we don't exactly know what they are. Obviously, you can assume that because of it being Legend ZA that had just been released, that the next two megas are probably new megas. I'm going to be talking about some of the Legend ZA leaks for the upcoming DLC, so if you don't want to hear those and you want the authentic experience of like playing the game without having everything leaked beforehand, then just skip to the timestamp on screen and just avoid this part of the video. That being said, the leaks did show that Absol, Lucario and Garchomp are going to get Mega Z forms, which are like how Charizard and Mewtwo have X and Y forms and now Raichu, but like a new Z form rather than obviously it being X and Y, because we're not in the X and Y games anymore. And so I think that at least one of the two megas are probably going to be Mega Garchomp Z or Mega Absol Z. Probably not Lucario because we already have base Lucario. But just back to the main part of the video. I think the way that these megas are being like showcased and how they're being handed to the player base, like their Mega Evolution is different to the Mewtwo's, right? Because the Mewtwo's, they Mega Evolve by doing a bunch of damage to players, and then once they reach level 5, anytime that their meter is full, they'll Mega Evolve. But with Lucario and Charizard, they Mega Evolve after they use their Unite move, and they just keep it for a certain time period. And so you're not really getting a new Pokemon, this is what I'm trying to get at, is that these two and probably upcoming megas share no difference between their original counterparts, besides when they Mega Evolve, their moves look a little bit different and they do like more damage or like maybe a different effect. So is it really necessary to have an entirely separate Unite license for something that you already have in the game? Again, don't get me wrong, I love the idea of having more megas in the game. Just having more variety in general is good, but I don't think this is the variety that we need. I feel like if they were doing new Mega Pokemon, then they could have done new Megas that weren't already in the game. And if they were doing ones that were already in the game, then they could have changed their moveset or how they played at least a bit, besides just making them stronger, right? Which sort of goes on to my second talking point, is that it forces the player to buy two separate Unite licenses for the same Pokemon. There are so many Pokemon in the game now, and they're all so expensive when they're coming out. Like, there has not been a single Pokemon that has been 10,000 coins since God knows when. Everything is getting more expensive, and so players are having to play for longer to get Unite licenses, and it's becoming so hard to get Unite licenses for a free-to-play player that it is almost impossible for them to ever have the majority, never mind all of the Unite licenses in the game. Don't get me wrong, I love the idea that they are adding new Pokemon to the game every 2 weeks or so now. That is brilliant, that is really good for the game. But when they are so expensive, and this also just sort of side rant, why are the gem prices going up so much lately? They used to all Pokemon below a certain coin threshold were 575 gems. Now on release, they have been adjusted so they're higher, which makes sense because they're a new Pokemon, right? But Pokemon like Phalanx still have a really high price when it's been like nearly a year since, or possibly even a year, since they had been released. Why? Why are all these Pokemon that are now years old, like Miraidon? Of course, Miraidon, Latios, all of those that were part of these like dice roll minigames, they're the EX Pokemon as they used to be called. They are going to be more expensive, and I understand that. But now every Pokemon that releases is a higher price in gems, like would normally be if they were released maybe 2 years ago. And they've also raised the prices of older Pokemon so that every different like number of coins now increases the price of gems. And so you need to spend nearly £10 or like $12 just to buy a Pokemon. And don't get me started on the prices of the holowares in this game. That is a whole different story for a whole different rant video. But with how much I'm like trashing on the game right now, it sounds like I just hate the game. So I'm going to move away from ranting about it to how they could fix this, okay? These Mega Pokemon that are identical to their original counterparts. One, they could add new licenses for these new Megas while changing some of their moves, right? I know Mewtwo, like both of the Mewtwo's have the same moves, right? But they play differently because they're at different ranges. One has a lot longer range than the other, and one, of course, prefers the teleport moveset, and one prefers the recover moveset. So they still play differently while having the same abilities, right? But Lucario is still, like the Mega Lucario is still Lucario until it Mega Evolves. And that is only when it hits its Unite move. But also, if you don't want to change the moves, why have a separate license altogether? Why not, rather than making people buy 2 different licenses, buy a Mega Stone in the items section, or maybe half the price of a normal Pokemon? So you can still keep the gem price if someone wants to buy it really quickly, but help the free-to-play player by making the coins a little bit less, and so they can still buy the Mega Stone, which is required for the Mega version, and so you can release something like this and have it in the game. Now, I understand where the continuity of it starts to get a bit hazy, right? Because when you select Mega Lucario, it is still Lucario, and it's got the little Mega symbol next to its level so that you know that it's Mega Lucario and not normal Lucario. And so if there's not a clear indicator between the two variants, because obviously you can't see the enemy team's items, you won't know that it's Mega Lucario. Which is why you would still, if a Lucario has its Mega Stone equipped in its items, you would just show the Mega Lucario license on the front, and you would have the Mega icon next to its level. Simple as that. And that also means that, like a few games I've had already, that there isn't 2 Lucarios and 2 Charizards running about. You can't have 2 Mewtwo's on a team, so why can you have 2 Lucarios on a team, or 2 Charizards on a team? You can now have 4 out of your 5 being 3 different Pokemon. But what do you think? Is this actually good for the game? Do you agree with me on my takes of how we can fix this mega problem? Or do you disagree and think that it's completely fine? Honestly, you're entitled to your own opinion. I'm not going to get mad at you if you like the megas. Don't worry. That's it for today's video. I have plenty of Unite guides on my channel that you can watch, and many other videos where I'm not just ranting about the game. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.